in the pledges of allegiance? Where's the flag?
He's coming.
There it is.
Okay. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of
of the United States of
States of
America,
America,
and
and
to
the
the
republic
republic
Republic,
for which it stands,
one nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
liberty,
liberty,
and
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
Okay, notice that this meeting was emailed to the Herald News, the Record Office of the County Clerk, the college community, and posted on the PCCC website and bulletin boards on November 10th, 2020.
Okay, roll call.
Alumni Rep Balaam,
Here.
Trustee Esquiche,
Here.
Trustee Glovin,
here,
Trustee Marco,
here,
Trustee Moody,
Present,
Trustee Poe,
Here.
Trustee Smith, Trustee Trivedi,
Here.
Vice Chair Tanis,
Here.
Chairman Nutter.
Here. Okay, are there any corrections to the minutes? Okay. Okay, then may I have a motion on resolution number 1, approval of the October 20th, 2020 minutes as corrected?
Move it.
second,
Roll call.
Trustee Esquiche,
Yes.
Trustee Glovin,
Dane,
Trustee Marco,
yes,
Trustee Moody,
yes,
Trustee Poe,
Yes.
Trustee Trivedi,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tanis,
Yes.
Chairman Nutter.
Yes.
Sharon has joined the
Okay.
meeting.
Yes, thank you.
All right,
Marsha Marker present.
all right. New Jersey law requires that an organization of the Board of Trustees be held in November. So Harvey, you're ceremoniously going to give me the gavel.
Yeah. I'll
Which
give
we
it to
usually
you.
do in person.
Where are you?
We'll do this ceremoniously this time. And I will take nominations for Chairperson of the Board of Trustees.
Mr. President, I would like to enter a name into nomination for president. But first, I want to take this opportunity to thank Harvey Nutter for all his years of service going back to 1996.
Mhm.
I know I'm dating us, but we can't say thank you enough for all the work you have done for this college.
Okay.
And we will continue to say thank you. So
Right. And having said that, I would like to place in nomination the name of Dennis Marco, who also represents the county college on the Council of Community Colleges, and he serves on the legislative committee of the Council of Community Colleges. So I am entering the name of Dennis Marco.
I second it.
all right. Are there any other nominations?
I move that the nominations be closed then.
Okay. Is there a second on that?
second,
All right. Vote. All in favor of nominations being closed?
Aye.
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 aye,
All in
Aye.
favor of Dennis Marco as chairman of the Board of Trustees?
Aye.
Aye.
aye,
Anyone object? Congratulations.
congratulations, Dennis.
thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. And I know I have some big shoes to fill, Harvey. I'm going to be looking toward you for leadership and guidance, and all the other trustees. I've enjoyed really working with all of you. And, I think the fact that we were able to do some advocacy work at the end of the budget process there was huge. And, just the other day, the CCOG bill got voted out of the, I think it was the Assembly, or Dr. Rose, if I'm
Senate.
right. I still have a little COVID brain, so, I'm going to need a little time.
Yeah, it's been through the Senate. It came through the Assembly.
And I look forward to working with every one of you, and I appreciate your support.
So it's your job now to take over the meeting and do nominations for vice chair.
Okay, so we have the floor is open for nominations for vice chairperson. Nominations are given, then seconded and moved to close by a trustee with a second. So do I have someone prepared to nominate someone?
How
I want
about
to nominate Mrs. Tanis, Barbara.
Barbara Tanis.
Oh,
I second it.
I second.
okay. I second it too. Get ready to
Okay.
nominate
Who's it?
Barbara
Who's the
Ball.
nominee?
Barbara Tanis.
Barbara.
Barbara, great. Okay, can I have a roll call?
You want a roll call? Okay,
Or can I have by
voice vote.
Voice vote?
Voice vote.
voice vote? Voice vote. All those in favor of Barbara Tanis becoming the vice chairperson?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, congratulations, Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. It's to be a pleasure serving with you, Dennis. It's going to be a
Okay.
new endeavor that we're going into now. We put one era behind us and we start the next.
There you go. Long way from
Hopefully we'll be meeting together soon.
soon, very soon.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah,
Yes.
long way from Church Street, Barbara.
Yep. A long way, Dennis. But not too far.
Not too
We're
far.
only around the corner now.
I know. So, Dr. Rose, would I turn this over to you for presentations?
Yep. Well, we're, again, this is one of the things we normally love to do in person, but we're not going to let the fact that we're remote stop us from doing things. So we're really pleased tonight to have the officers of our Student Government Association join us for the meeting. And of course, they face some of the similar challenges we do, trying to be student leaders at a time when most students are not on campus. We've got some traditions we do every year. We usually start with a summer picnic where we get to know each other, and then we have lunch together every month. But we haven't been able to do that. But we owe them a lot of meals, and we will catch up at some point in the future. But I'm gonna turn it over to who's gonna take over from student government here. You're all muted. Edwin, you gonna do it?
Hello, good evening. Yes.
All right.
We have a presentation ready for everyone to see. So I believe I have access to share my screen.
You do.
Okay, yes, perfect. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Not quite yet. It's
No, not yet.
black. There we go.
There you go.
Okay.
Great.
And why don't you start with introducing each other?
Sure. My name is Edwin Nava, and I am a senator for the Legislative Board of the Student Government Association. I'm also here with other student members who can also introduce themselves.
And Edwin, what's your major?
Oh, my major is theater.
All right. And what town are you from?
I'm from Pccc.
Okay.
I'm Jeline, and I'm also a senator in the Legislative Board, along with 8 other members who unfortunately were not able to make it due to schedule complications. So it's just going to be us tonight.
Problem. And what's your major?
Mine is criminal justice.
And what town are you from?
I'm from Patterson.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so good evening, everyone, and thank you all for having us here tonight. As I already mentioned, I am Edwin, and we are very excited to be able to show you everything that the SG has been working on, everything the goals that we set to continue to be a voice for students throughout this semester. So, Jaylene, take it away.
So over this past summer, we got the opportunity to participate in a leadership academy, which happens to be virtually for the very first time this year. Usually this academy does actually happen on the campus, but due to COVID, we had to switch to a remote setting. In this training, we were able to gain some skills and tools to benefit us during the term that we're serving for the years to come. We learned some different skills, specifically from one specific speakers, different ones that we had, who highlighted multiple topics such as public speaking, and able to just emphasize the importance of our roles as student liaisons. So I can personally point out one of the speakers who were able to present was able to make the session into a sort of classroom vibe. The way that we interacted, the way that they interacted with us, as well as we were able to interact with each other, just truly help break the ice with one another as well as them. And it was setting a very learning atmosphere. I feel that the tips and the topics that were definitely discussed for the reason being as a leader, as well as academically and on a personal level as well.
All right, so now here are some pictures from the leadership workshop that we had during the summer. I had the opportunity of experiencing both aspects of a leadership academy. So I got to experience an in-person leadership academy and also a virtual one. And while I do miss some of the aspects of having a, in person, such as, going on the leadership retreat and getting to know my teammates, I feel like we also learned some very invaluable things. And then we also connected on a virtual setting. So we also learned a lot of important things, such as I remember that in one workshop, we were able to reflect on ourselves, and I made the commitment of just doing my best. And because that's all that we can really do at the end of the day is that we do our best. And so I made that a commitment, which I feel was something that was very helpful. And also something that was very exciting was that at the bottom left of the screen, at the bottom left of the slide, you can see that in that workshop, we had previous SGA members. So these were people who were in SGAs in previous years. They were able to come into a workshop and basically pass down any knowledge, any anything that any advice that they could give us to the incoming board to be able to excel in their positions. And I, for one, remember that the previous legislative board really showed us how we can better manage our time, and that they assured us that SGA is a lot of work, but in the end, it is all very it all pays off.
So this organization usually does advocate for initiatives and events to happen on campus, but being that this is such a difficult year, we had our main focus be to support the student body as well as ourselves. So we actually did set up 1 or 2 goals that directly impacts the students. So our first goal was to actually update the structure and content of the existing SGA Blackboard page. So what that is the Blackboard page is an actual section in the school website that usually teachers and staff use for their access to either post of homework or tests or any kind of content for the class. So we decided to actually use that in our advantage and also update it in some of the sections that we have. So as you can see, some of the action that we have taken are updating the content and making sure that the page is just visually appealing. We also did add a section for student resources, such as tutor.com for a more 24/7 remote academic learning. And we also added a user-friendly guide for Blackboard for the new students to kind of just get the gist of it and not have such a hard time in trying to access through the Blackboard page itself. So our final phase will actually be marketing, where we will promote our Blackboard across all social media platforms.
Okay, so our second goal was to continue PCCC's Student Government Association's history. So this was a goal that was passed down to us from the previous term of SGA members. And our original goal was to complete the history and showcase it physically on campus. However, due to the global pandemic, we were not able to execute this goal as originally intended. However, through innovation, through adversity comes innovation. And so that's why we added a second layer to this goal. And the second layer was to basically we also create an online catalog that will be more accessible for students and make it more interactive and more efficient. So, and also this year we are fortunate enough to have a secondary advisor, Professor Alan Minnick, who was a advisor for the Student Government Association previously. So he has a lot of knowledge that he could definitely help us in finalizing this goal.
Our focus has been supporting the students virtually by updating our Blackboard page and just bringing awareness to resources on campus and hosting virtual workshops and events. So our training this past summer kind of emphasized the importance of listening and supporting and advocating them as well. Our biggest challenge was to basically come up with a way to accomplish that remotely. We created a shared virtual space where students can reach us for support online. So for example, our weekly listening sessions happen on Wednesdays around 7 o'clock, which are aimed towards connecting students with resources and helping them on how to navigate through the webpage, answer any questions they may have, as well as listen to any concerns, and just get to know them as well. We familiarize ourselves with everything that the school has to offer students so that we can connect them to the right kind of support. So our advisors are also with us on those sessions to help us guide so that if there are any questions, they will not go unanswered. So I can actually say, for example, on one occasion, we were able to share our screen for a student who was having an issue on how to order a textbook via online for the school website for the bookstore. Some of the other examples are we're able to navigate them through the Blackboard or any other, the other one was tutor.com, but we're also able to help them navigate through that. So we also have our tune-in sessions, which happen around 1 o'clock on Thursdays. And it's also where we get to know the students in a more relaxed and setting icebreaker games, more movies, or just maintain a human basic connection during this difficult time with them.
So the SGA also helped move Campus Life virtually. And this year we hosted our first ever virtual involvement fair. So the involvement fair is an event that we host every semester where we give students the opportunities to become more involved on campus. So we also showcase all the different clubs and organizations that are on campus and just give them an opportunity to find a club that they can become more involved in. We also invite other organizations such as the Men of Color Success Initiative and also the Phi Theta Kappa, who also help us in creating a safe, inclusive, college-wide event. So in this past virtual involvement fair, it was a huge success. We had over 100 students attend and participate in this year's involvement fair. We also hosted a virtual development workshop where the focus was to show students, student leaders how to utilize the tools, was to show them how to utilize online tools that they can use for their own clubs or any other thing that they want to use them for. So since we learned how to become more, more use the Blackboard page, this was a tool that we passed down to other leaders that they can use for their own clubs as well to become more interactive with their own members of their clubs. So, and I also want to hit on this point is that I think that this is a really important time more than ever for us to show the students that they have a voice, that there are students out there that can help them in whatever struggles that they're going through, anything that they're facing, and they need something like that. So the Student Programming Committee, which I am the co-chair of, we host meetings every Tuesday from 4 to 5 p.m. where we have weekly check-ins. We have weekly check-ins at the beginning of each meeting, and where students can basically let us know how their week is going and let us know if they're struggling with any classes. And we try and help them out and provide them with resources as much as possible. And I feel like that's very important because I know that for me, for example, I would greatly appreciate it when somebody checks in on me and asks how I'm doing. And if I'm struggling with something, that maybe somebody else is also struggling with the exact same class or assignment, that we can all help out each other. So we created this basically like this safe space for students to come in and just become more comfortable with opening up to us.
So as student liaisons, we basically continue to offer virtual opportunities to students as well as ourselves. We have been challenged with more resourceful and initiative during our term, and we will continue to strive to make sure that they do feel supported during this time. So when I mean by taking advantage, I mean by the not limitations, but more like the opportunities that are given, being that everything is basically virtual now. We are able to have, for example, our weekly SGA meetings are at 7 o'clock in the morning every Wednesday, as well as other committees are able to have their meetings on different times, being that there are different schedules that contradict with each other. So with that being said, we would really like to thank Dr. Rose and the Board of Trustees for having us and giving us this opportunity, as well as our amazing advisors, Maria and Rafaela, who have been helping us every step of the way as we grow into our roles, as well as leading us into such impactful ways. So thank you guys, and we really do appreciate this opportunity.
All right, and thank you. Just like everything else, this year has thrown curves at us in ways that we are still figuring out all these days. And, we're just really proud of these students and all of our students, who really have had to persevere, and it's not easy. We've kind of thrown their lives, their educational lives, and every other aspect of their lives, into chaos at this point. But we're really proud of our students. I think we're trying to do everything we can to support our students the best we can. But it is not easy, and so we thank you for what you're doing to help support the students, and we will have you back later in the year with your whole group, and you can talk about all the great successes you've had. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Dr. Rose, could I ask a quick question?
Of course.
I just wanted to let me ask you a quick question. My name is Michael Glover. I'm one of the trustees. I just wanted to get the sense of the students you're in contact with. How are they handling this virtual learning versus classroom? Are they depressed about it? Or are most of them adapting to it? How do you see the morale of the student body that you're talking to?
Most of them are pretty much just either trying to catch up with how everything is kind of just playing out, being that for mostly everybody, I can say, including myself, it is just the first time thing. So they're trying to figure out how to get their classwork assignments or how to get in contact with their professors. So most of the things are basically, it almost feels like all the students are kind of starting off from scratch. It is kind of a difficult time, but most of them are handling it pretty well. The good thing is that they are able to kind of just get used to whatever they're given. In a way, if you really think about it, they are pretty fast learners. But if any way, we are trying to make sure if they have any questions or anything like that, that they know exactly who to come up to. Should they have any questions, should they have any concerns, they can either reach out to us, reach out to our advisors. We basically want to make sure that they know that they aren't alone in this, because I myself am a student, Edwin's a student, so we're all literally just taking this all one step at a time, pretty much.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for our students? All right, thank you. And we will see you later in the year.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
And I think it's a perfect opportunity for me to just give a little more update on what's going on with everything. As you heard, everyone has had to reinvent themselves. Our faculty have had to reinvent themselves, learning, new ways of teaching that they've never done before. We're providing services to our students virtually. We've got a lot of things like tutoring, which are 24/7. We have an outside company, and we have tutor.com, which is great, and every student gets an account, and these are live tutors, who it doesn't, and the students, they can do it by email, they could do it by text, they could do it on a video screen. And if these students need help at 2 a.m, and we get logs of this, a lot of them are using it at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m, trying to get help with these, with their coursework. And those are the kind of things that are happening. Right now we've started the process of registering our students for the spring semester, and we're going to do it differently than we've ever done it before. We basically have given a team of about 25 administrators. Each of them have about 200 or so students that they're responsible for working with, between now and the end of January, to keep following up with them, answering their questions, making sure they get answers to all their questions, and helping them to get registered for the next semester. Because students are very used to just walking into offices at the college, and people will see them, and we try not to make people make appointments to do stuff, and they could just walk in to get advised or walk into the financial aid office. Well, having to set up one of these Zoom calls or set up something is not as easy. So we're trying to overcompensate by reaching out to the students, doing whatever we can to support them. And this is probably the toughest time of the year between Thanksgiving and the end of the semester for all students is probably the toughest time, so, everybody kind of is on high alert at the college and trying to just do everything we can to get the students through. And, that's the goal right now. Get them through this semester, get them back for next semester. I think, as I told you last month, we ended down about 15% in enrollment. That's about normal around the country, not very different. Where we are a little different than some others is how that 15% is made up. We actually did, and this gets to Mike Lovin's question, our students from last semester, from the spring, actually did very well. They completed and they came back in very large numbers this fall. Our retention rate from last spring was actually just about normal, which is pretty amazing, considering everything going on. It's the new students that dropped off. And more specifically, it's the new students from urban areas. That's a theme that just keeps coming up. And this is a national trend. Way down in the Patterson schools, Kennedy especially, East Side as well, Passaic High School is down. The more suburban the school was, the closer it was to a normal year. But all in all, and that's a big concern. I mean, it's a big concern for us. It's a big concern for the school district. And, we're talking to the school district. They're having trouble connecting with students. Obviously, it's much more difficult from them. Their guidance staffs, and we've got some educators on here who currently or formerly worked for the Patterson School District, and students are just like our students in K-12 are having a hard time as well. Many of them do not have the technology necessary to do remote learning. Some of them just don't do well with learning on a computer. I mean, it's just not something they're very used to. So, the school district is dealing with students that, they're losing touch with. So much of the guidance counselors who usually would spend time trying to get students to fill out their FAFSA and apply to colleges, they're dealing with crisis situations every day from what we're being told. So it's going to be a rough year. This is not going to change anytime soon, and we're doing all we can to just try and be ready for whatever happens. We delayed the beginning of the spring semester by a week, so we usually started the day or two after Martin Luther King holiday. We're starting a week later to give students a little more time to get things done, and going a week later in May doesn't cause any problems for us. So as a result of the drop in enrollment that we had, we're down about $5.1 million, and this is in your board package. You have our variance report that you have, and you'll see we're down about $5.1 million, which is mostly coming from, it's two sources. It's lower tuition revenue that we had, and we did take a cut in our state funding of about $800,000 to almost $900,000 for the year. The good news at this point, based on some very hard work by a lot of people, led by Stephen Hardy, we've covered most of the gap at this point. So, down about, $5.1 million total, and we've got about $5,050,000 that we've managed to cut from the budget. So we're very close. We've got about $82,000 gap right now, which, we'll find a way to make up as the year goes along. And of course, we're making a lot of assumptions about spring enrollment at this point. And, $80,000 is a 0.5% in enrollment. So, hopefully, if we can make up another 0.5%, and that's why all this follow-up with students to get them registered, hopefully that will pay off and we'll be able to make up any gap that we have. The other good news is, a lot of people have been incredibly generous with the college, including some of you, where people are creating scholarships for students at the college. And, I don't think there's ever been a time where we've been able to support our students more financially. And there's probably has never been a time when students needed more support financially than they have right now. So, I think I can honestly say at this point, that we're dealing with students on an individual basis, based on foundation funds, based on this CARE funding that we have from the federal government. We've had several $1 million that we can distribute, to students, and, in all kinds of different ways. We're trying to make sure that every student has a well-working laptop by the end of the semester so they can, take their courses and do the best job that they can. So we're successful there. We're helping students, even as I walked into college this morning, we've got some of our student organizations who are providing food for students who need it. So we've got people picking up meals every week at the college, every day almost at the college at this point. So we're, trying to feed some of the students who, that sometimes that's the only meal that they're getting, and just trying to stay up on all those things. And it's working. It's a lot of people having to reinvent themselves and just do things differently than they've ever done them before. So I'm happy to answer any questions about where we are, where we're going, or anything. All right, the only other thing I'll add is tonight would normally have been the audit presentation to the Board of Trustees, but even audits get delayed during the time of COVID. The auditors have been started at the college basically at the same time they normally do, but things move at a different pace during this time. And also, I don't think this delayed it, but for the first time in over 40 years, we did not have our controller, who retired finally after 40 years at the college. So Stephen had to pick up most of that burden at this point. I know he's very pleased that our new controller started last week, and he will hopefully get a little relief from doing multiple jobs. But the audit is scheduled to be presented in December, so we'll be ready to do that for you. And that's what I got.
Sounds good. How about the information items for discussion, Steve? Dr. Rose, you want to go through those?
Sure. Mike, do you want to?
Yes, so in your packet is a resolution establishing the protocol for the handling of procedures during a remote meeting held during an emergency declared by the governor. Shortly before our October meeting, the Division of Local Government Services published emergency regulations in furtherance of the amendments to the Open Public Meetings Act adopted in the spring, calling for certain protocols to be established for handling remote meetings, both the technology side, which I've been reviewing with Chris Muller and Evelyn, as well as for the board to adopt the resolution to establish protocols for public comment. And that is what you have in front of you. I think it's fairly self-explanatory. There's a time limit in there. There's a provision that if someone is disruptive, they'll be muted. If they continue to be disrupted, they'll be, if you will, escorted from the meeting. It makes perfect sense to me to have this. We don't have many people appear at our meetings, both virtually or in person. One of the other things we may want to consider doing when we finally get back to in-person meetings is having a resolution establishing certain guidelines for public comment during a physical meeting, such as a time limit on speakers and things like that. Although again, in my experience, I think, well, I know I can count on one hand the number of times we've had people come to a meeting and look to address the board. But I'm happy to answer any questions with regard to the resolution.
Yeah, I have a question, Mike.
Sure.
I looked at it. I was a little confused. When exactly is this? Does this end when the governor's emergency ends, or do we end it when we vote to end it? That's something that's a little.
The way I drafted it, it's effective whenever there is a public emergency declared by the governor. So we cannot meet entirely remotely, except during an emergency declared by the governor, either under his health emergency powers or his general emergency powers. And so I find it so that if that should ever come up again, the resolution is in place and gets activated, if you will, when he declares an emergency. When the emergency is over, we now, under the law, we are not allowed to meet entirely remotely. Although in my opinion, we could have somebody call into a meeting, which we had done in the past. And in fact, I have that in the bylaws. The last time we revised the bylaws, we put that in there so that we can legally have a meeting, provided that the person calling in can hear everybody and everybody can hear that person. That's fine, in my opinion. But, and this was more towards the Open Public Meetings Act requirements, if there's no public emergency, there's got to be a physical meeting. That is, there's got to be, I'll say, several trustees physically present that the public can come and observe and make public comment during the appropriate time.
So if this thing, for example, if it ends at the end of the year, January is going to be a regular type of meeting. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, that's what
Now, if you can make this end so that we can have a regular meeting in January, you will have already done more than any trustee could ever have done in their first month of service.
I just wasn't sure when the.
No. Yeah, listen, I wish it were over. I wish it were.
You'll get a lot of support, Mike, in pushing for that.
Yes.
One question. So, for example, if it was a blizzard and we had a meeting tonight and the governor declared a state of emergency based on a weather event, could we move it to remote?
The problem with that would be noticing to the public that we're meeting remotely.
Okay.
We'd have to give adequate notice, and I don't think we would have had time.
Okay.
On the other hand, if we had a 3-day blizzard where we were locked up and we could get a notice out virtually, I think that might do.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Good to know. All right. So we have two other things here. We have PALS Plus. We're members of the Passaic County Library System, and every year this same resolution comes to the board to continue our relationship with the Passaic County Library System. And I'm always shocked to hear the number of interlibrary loans that people actually do take things out of the college, where we are providing local libraries with some things that I guess only we have in our collection. So it's good that we're members of this, and it's good to be part of doing that. The other item you have here is acceptance of grant awards for cultural affairs, and it's just always nice to point this out. We've got 3 grants here from the New Jersey State Council of the Arts, from the Department of State. One of them is the 3rd year we've got it. 2 of them, it's the 41st year we've gotten these awards. And, this is something basically when our new trustee started at the county, I don't know if he remembers this, but the county turned the control of the Passaic County Cultural and Heritage Council over to the college, which is where it's been forever. now, and we're the ones who have been applying for these grants, and we redistribute some of them to other agencies in the county, and a lot of good cultural work gets done in the county because of these grants that go through the college. So always a nice thing.
Great.
And we have purchases of goods and services. The one significant item in there is the rejection of a bid for what we've come to call our firehouse project, which has been going on for way too long. You may remember we're building kind of a center where we will be able to teach welding and do various things like that. And we took over one of those old firehouses in Patterson. And it's a 3-stage project that we did. This is the final stage. The first stage was basically the demo work, where we had a crew come in and demo the building. The second stage was more or less the exterior work of the building. And of course, this is in one of the historic preservation zones in Patterson. So we had to work with those folks to, so there's a lot of detail in terms of the type of windows the building has to make it, keep it historically consistent with what it was. That part of the work is done. And if you drive by the building on Van Houten Street, it's beautiful. The building looks great from the outside. But what we have found out in the past few weeks is that construction is also something which has been greatly impacted by the pandemic, and prices for certain of the trades have gone up fairly substantially over this period of time. We thought this was going to come in substantially lower than it came in. So it came in over budget. We've met with the architect and we're going to be rebidding it at this point. We've got some value engineering we can do and a few things, we can make alternates for, and we hope to get it out very quickly out to bid again with some modifications to try and bring it in closer to budget. We'll probably have to reallocate some funds from some other projects to add to it, because I don't think it's going to come down to what was originally budgeted. But that's just, from what we're understanding, that's a sign of the times, and not much you can do about that. But certain of the trades are coming in way higher than they were. Also, we've had some contractors who typically bid on our jobs. They're the same ones who, some of them for 20, 30 years have been bidding on project at the college. And we noticed that some of them did not bid this time, and, kind of reached out to a few of them, and they're saying they're being very, very careful about how much work they take on. They don't know if they can maintain a workforce right now. Obviously, with workers having to social distance, they don't know whether there'll be another state of emergency again, which would prevent them from working in a normal way that they could, because last spring, a lot of them, got tied up, with what was going on, where some of the trades weren't functioning and everything else. So very difficult times. But that's the main purchase that you have there. And we're happy to answer any questions about any of the other purchases that are here.
Okay. So Dr. Rose, is there any need to go into executive session?
I don't think so. Mike, anything tonight?
Mike?
No.
Nope. Okay. Then why don't we move on to the resolution number 3, if that's the next item on the agenda. Consent agenda, items A through D.
Second.
Need a motion, folks, to approve the consent agenda.
Barbie.
I'll move it.
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Trustee Skj?
Was-
Yes.
Trustee Glovin?
Yes,
Question.
Oh, wait a minute.
Was-
Okay.
So what is this motion for?
it's consent agenda, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is a consent agenda, correct?
Yes, you're right.
It is, you're correct.
Consent agenda.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Moody?
Yes.
Trustee Nutter?
Yes.
Trustee Poe?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Trivedi? Yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay. I saw you
It's the beard.
waving.
See you
Yeah.
waving there.
Yeah,
I'm
too
I'm
much
gonna
beard.
unmute, yeah.
Vice Chair Tanis,
Yes.
Chairman Marco.
Yes. Okay, are there any remarks from the trustees or the public at this time?
I have one.
Okay, Trustee Smith.
I direct my comment to trustee, he disappeared.
Uh-oh.
To trustee, is it Glovin?
Yes.
Officially, my name is Sharon Chambers Smith, but the trustees call me Gracie Allen. So,
Okay, nice to meet you, Gracie Allen.
thank you. And I'd just like to welcome you to our trusteeship. I did have a Gracie Allen moment because I'm like, who is he? Where did he come from? What? And I assume that I missed something because Gracie does do that relatively well. But from my heart, welcome and a pleasure to meet you and to serve with you.
Thank you. I just so you be aware, I was a long time employee for Passaic County, and I retired from the county last year as a county council. And I thank you for your gracious welcome. Thank you, all of you, for welcoming.
And let me just add there, we have been working with our new trustee for most of the time. I've been here 33 years now, and I think I met him the first year I came to the college back then. And what Mike was really involved with was when we did the Wanacue campus.
No, let's not bring that up.
Yeah, let's not bring that up.
I like the Public Safety Academy one better.
Yes, well, that was a much easier project. But building Wanacue was, probably the challenge of most of our lifetimes, based on everything that went on there. And Mike's work from the county council's office really, he was integrally involved in getting that project done. And, of the 5 or 10 people involved, he put a lot of work into that.
But I do want to say, Dr. Rose, that my predecessor had a lot to do with that.
Oh,
all right. Yeah. Richard Duhame.
Oh, everybody knows that.
He was the man who worked tirelessly to get that done. So I was just a member of the staff, but he did the yeoman work on that. I just hope I can fill his shoes.
He had the political will to get it done, and that was
and
that was very needed at the time.
But thank you all for your gracious welcome. Appreciate it.
Okay, any other remarks from the trustees?
I would just like to thank all the trustees for when I was chair being a support. And trustee, I'm Chairman Marco. I have seen a great change in the Board of Trustees of Passaic County Community College.
Thank you.
As a regular member, as a vice chair, and as a vice chair. But the biggest thing that I've seen, that this board has always worked together. And that is a tribute to each and every one of you. I didn't realize that I was chair as long as I was.
I had to double check. I thought I was still in high school.
Time does fly.
But that just goes to show you when you're having fun and doing the right thing, time just goes by and things happen. So, Chair Marco.
Yes.
I'm with you 100%. Anything you need from me, I can do. All right.
I'm looking forward to all your leadership and guidance there, Harvey. Okay. I really am. Okay, let's see, Mike, do we have any emails that were received at all?
We received nothing.
Good. That makes it even easier. Okay. In your packets, by the way, there's the list of the meetings for 20 and 21. December 15th is the next meeting. Is that correct, Dr. Rose?
That's it.
So can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second. Roll.
Trustee Esquiche?
Yes.
Trustee Glovin?
Yes.
Trustee Nutter?
Yes.
Trustee Moody?
Yes.
Trustee Poe?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Trivedi?
Yes.
Vice Chair Tanis?
Yes.
Chairman Marco?
Yes.
We're just adjourned.
All of you have a great Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Healthy and happy. Stay safe.
Please, everybody, stay safe. Stay safe.
Happy Thanksgiving. Stay
Yeah.
safe. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right.
Trustees,
everybody.
make sure you tell your sister I said hello.
Will do.